Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the BB-Scho. As always, I'm your host, Beebs. I'm joined by my co-host, Chen. We're here today. We're here for Week 18's preview. But before we do that, we got to talk about what happened on Monday Night Football. Touchy subject, but Chen, what are your thoughts, on just kind of the way the NFL handled the Damar Hamlin situation?
Oh yeah. Listen, there's a couple disclaimers before we even touch on this. One, this is probably the first time I'm like, wow, this is nice that we have a relatively smaller audience. Because any one of my words, that I've seen from Twitter, interviews, people, it kind of feels like are looking for um, people to attack, honestly, for a freak incident that, listen, there's no easy way to talk about something that a guy was cardiac arrest. He was, I believe, for a little bit on that field. Heart was not beating, not pronounced dead, but you get the idea. The closest thing you can really get to death on a football field. And we have not seen that in my time, on Earth. I haven't seen it in recent history. Um, it was just a very unprecedented thing. And I think really at the end of the day, everything should be directed towards Damar Hamlin. The people that have been doing it right are the numerous amount of people that his toy drive was the goal on. I don't know if you've seen this story.
I
The goal
seen it.
was $2,500, and I believe now it's over $7 million raised.
Wow.
And that's, there's no really good. I don't know. It's so hard to phrase something like this, because something like that happening on a football field is not good. But in the same breath, it is nice to see so many people doing good things as much as they can to really help restore that just kind of pain that Damar Hamlin's family is going through. And actually, from reports, his all his brain activity is there. I know the
Yeah, I
initial
heard
fear
he's. I heard
was,
he's finally. We're here on Thursday. I heard he's finally responsive. His eyes are open, and he's like squeezing fingers.
yeah, actually, he and because they're still working on his oxygen, he obviously can't verbally respond. But when they handed him paper, the first thing he wrote down was who won the game.
Did
So
he really?
yes,
I did not
yes,
hear that story.
yes, that came out probably an hour ago, and that's where again, like, this is not a
Oh my
positive thing that
gosh.
happened, but it is very positive now in the sense that um Damar Hamlin, his brain, everything is intact. Like, he's still
So I,
himself.
I saw a story and I did a little research. I think well, it is true. Um, there was a guy, so they haven't like officially diagnosed what happened to him yet, but I guess when you take like blunt force trauma to your chest, like this very
Mm-hmm.
specific spot in your chest at like this precise time in the electrical cycle of your heartbeat, which I'm not a doctor or very well versed, but that's the best I can explain it. This can happen. I don't know the name of it, but you can go into cardiac arrest if you take enough trauma right in between at this certain spot in your heartbeat. And it happened to a guy in the NHL in like the 90s. And he got hit by a slap
Interesting.
shot like in the chest, the exact same thing. And he collapsed. I don't think he stood up like Damar Hamlin did, but he did collapse and then went into cardiac arrest. They had to take him out. The whole like very similar situation. And
Wow.
then he ended up like playing like four more seasons. Like he was
Wow.
completely fine, like survived, no long term effects, no long term damage. So if that is indeed the diagnosis for Damar Hamlin, encouraging stuff for his future if that is what happened to him.
No, absolutely. And I know initially football was, when this right away happened, kind of way out of the picture. It was just, we want to make sure he lives. Once he was more stabilized, it was like, well, is he going to be the same? When you're kind of gone for that long of a time, you never know. But the brain's all there. He's still that, great, fun, energetic soul that is Bill's teammates. And really, a lot of people around the world were seeing just loved him as a guy. And it is just, it's nice to see that, just kind of the positive side of humanity.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot of negativity around the situation. People kind of calling out each other, but now it's kind of, on the come up. It's going well. I really loved, Dan Orlovsky. Like, I don't know if he's gonna get hate for this on ESPN, and a lot of people like to say thoughts and prayers, but actually, after the situation was kind of touched on and explained, did pray over, him on live television, and I think that took a lot of guts. Whether it does anything for his job status or whatever, I don't really know what ESPN has for their agenda. Good for him, and it's good to see that stuff works, man. And just
Yeah, I can't
it's
really
just
add
some
anything to that.
fantastic news.
Well said. And I think that, what struck me was everyone did a really good job that night of like realizing that football didn't matter. And
Right.
eventually, and we're not there yet, the NFL will have to play again, which is it's just very weird. Which it's good that we are hearing good news about him, which makes that I think that transition back to football a lot easier. Because let's say something had taken a turn for the worse, or he was still no updates, for the NFL to go out and play again would have been really hard. I think the fact that
Right.
he was not okay that night is the reason why this game wasn't played on Tuesday. You know, if
Absolutely.
he had woken up in the ambulance on the way to the hospital and been fine, right, that sort of thing, I think they probably would have finished the game on Monday. But it
Hmm.
did not. It was a very dire situation, and I think the NFL made the right call. I'm going to credit, from what I've heard, I'm going to credit Zach Taylor a lot when it comes to making that call, because I heard a story that he went over to Sean McDermott after they came out for that 5-minute warm up, and McDermott was like, "I can't be here. I need to be at the hospital." And then Zach Taylor was
Yeah.
like, "All right, well, let's." From there, the coaches took their teams to the locker room, and I don't think that the NFL, and I'm not discrediting the NFL at all. They were probably in New York, in their offices, and they don't know the severity of the situation, right? They're not there, and so I think that that was a good call by the coaches to just say, I mean, those guys, you saw their faces. They clearly were not ready to play football again that quickly.
Oh, absolutely. No, just the way that whole just there was no way guys were going to go on the field. Absolutely, at least definitely from the Bills front, even the Bengals. You saw it's just it was not the time to play football. So that's honestly, to be honest with you, I actually was a little upset. I understand the NFL was in New York, but that 5 minute warm up, why was that even entertained? I mean, once you saw guys like in tears, I just all just in disbelief. You got to understand that football is not going to be played that night, and say it's a little temporarily suspended. We'll let you know. No. Like, call the game. And furthermore, there's another. I wish I knew the podcast. I saw a clip where the guy kind of broke down after this new collective bargaining agreement a lot of the benefits that were not stripped, but more or less reduced when it came to money clauses in just healthcare and how long you need in the to be in the league for
To be vested.
long term benefits. There's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that I was not aware of, and it really, for lack of better words, gave me a worse view of the NFL than I kind of already had. I kind of viewed them as well, they like to hide concussions and the true long term of head trauma and stuff like that. And now we're learning it's really just all just bodily trauma. I mean, they don't, for the amount of money this league pulls in that goes to the owners and whatnot. The fact that even some of these guys, I heard the argument that their contract should be fully guaranteed for seasons because of the fact that you're risking your life.
Yeah,
And
it's
whether it's
definitely going
not
to change
immediately,
things. Whenever the next CBA rolls around, there will be some changes, and I think the players will definitely gain some ground, um, in that sense. And it's a tough thing to go, because when it comes to, like, that being vested in pensions, right? Like, you can't. This sounds bad, but you can't give the guy everybody a pension, because some of those
it is
guys,
difficult.
some of those
It
guys, they
is.
make it to one training camp and they were an NFL player, and they got cut on their first year and they never played in the NFL again. So it's like the NFL can't pay them out a pension when they have no tenure. So there has to be some sort of rules. Now, I think that there should be more. What my solution to this problem would be, um, simply playing time. Find a way to come to an agreement that if a high talented second year player like Damar Hamlin gets hurt and never plays again in his second year before he's vested, but he played X amount of snaps, right, or X amount
Right.
of percentage of snaps for his team, he gets some sort of, I don't, I'm not, some sort of
Yeah.
pension, whatever you want, severance package, something. So he's not completely out of money for the rest of his life. And, maybe, like Ryan Shazier's situation, right? He's
Great
forced to
example.
walk
Yeah.
differently the rest of his life. So,
Yeah.
I don't work for the NFL. I'm just kind of spitballing ideas, but I do see the NFL side of like, we can't pay out a pension to Timmy Smith. Timmy Smith is actually a real person. Uh, um, John Johnson who
That's a real
played
person
one
too.
preseason snap, right? Like, you know what I mean? So, I get it, but there needs to be more for if he never plays again. There needs to be something here for this
I
one.
would say this, because I do hear where you're coming from. You can't pay some of these guys, even like 1 year players for their entire lives. Some are going to live to be 70, 80, right?
Yeah, I
But
mean, what happens if a guy makes the 53 man his rookie year and then gets cut next training camp but never plays a snap?
right.
So there's so many,
Absolutely.
there's more
Yeah.
NFL players than a lot of people realize, right? Like,
Yeah. It's
there's
like
not,
close to like 3,000. I mean, maybe a little bit
yes,
over.
and even more so, like there's so many guys that played 1 year and then got cut, or made it to a camp and got cut on the second day cuts, right? And
Hmm.
they've got a helmet sitting in their basement, and they tell their kids, yeah, the Saints brought me in, and I wasn't good enough, but I did it, right? I lived my dream. I made it to the NFL, and that so. But then there's also guys who play for 15 years because they're Ray Lewis or they're Peyton Manning, right? Or they're Brett Favre. So it's a very, people don't realize that there's a lot more NFL players than you see on TV.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Um, I think just the quick fix would be the guaranteed salaries for the guys in the
I think it's good.
53 man.
I think it's a
I
good
think
idea.
that's you guarantee a dude 800, 900, and even may raise the minimum, just guaranteeing a dude that kind of money for even just a year so that you have that opportunity if you were to get hurt or whatever to invest. Just give the guys a shot is really my kind of whole stance on the issue. And they should be getting overpaid in the sense that we've now seen the situation of a guy's life could have been immediately ended on the field, but off the field, just like mentally, the amount of guys that are dying young from either mental like problems or like physical ailments, like stuff that, and you bring up Ryan Shazier, he's not dead, but your life has changed forever after the field. And that's something you don't get from basketball. It's rare, you can get it.
Yeah.
Even like soccer, baseball, it's more rare, but the NFL is kind of a regular occurrence. And so that's why I think their contracts should be in a bit of a league of their own. And we see NBA guys make more money. I get there is less
Yeah.
guys on the roster, more money to go around, but uh, I don't know, man. NFL does a lot better numbers. I think they have
No,
more that
I,
they
I,
could give.
I
They're just
agree.
not
I
willing
mean,
to.
um, when you really look at it, the NFL, it does make sense on paper why the top 5% of NBA players, make more money than the top 5% of the NFL. I think
Yeah,
they're less replaceable. And that sounds bad, but it's true, right?
no,
We've
that's
literally
fair.
we've had debates on this podcast about why running backs don't matter at all. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's hate to say it.
but I think raising the floor of salaries would be a really just kind of a baseline starting point for this problem. And I'm sure the
No
NFL,
doubt.
we're so fresh off this, and we're being really speculative right now with our conversation. I'm sure the NFL will do something in response long term,
I'd hope so.
for this situation. And I'm sure the NFLPA will definitely bargain for some sort of change to be made, in light of this situation. And you know what? Maybe, best case scenario, maybe Damar Hamlin's back on the field next year, right? Like,
Yeah,
it'd be crazy to think about, but I think at the bare minimum, new chest protective equipment. If truly the whatever, it's going to happen. If he was put into cardiac arrest by blunt force trauma to the chest, that is the NFL will definitely take that. It's such a freak occurrence that I don't know if they're
Yeah.
going to do anything, but it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, any other closing thoughts? I want to say this too. It was very like I'm still interested, I guess, to see how this plays out with now that we know he's okay, we can talk about this, but to see how it plays out with playoff seeding. Because I really haven't seen much on what they're going to do. I heard that
It's going to be a no contest.
Well, I know it's a no contest, but I heard they were thinking about taking the winning percentages and using that to decide the seeding in the AFC. Wow. So like the Bills winning percentage comparative to the Chiefs would get the 1 seed, right? And then the Bengals comparative to whoever else.
That's very interesting. Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. And it's probably the best solution if they're not going to make it a tie, which is what I was, the problem with doing a tie is it's technically a half win and a half loss. So I can see why that would be interesting. So no contest. I don't know. It's a very weird situation. I'm sure we'll know more come next week heading into the wild card. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we'll have, answers and news, for our predictions for the playoffs going forward. But yeah, just closing thoughts. Just glad prayers were answered. Glad that Damar Hamlin is gonna still be Damar Hamlin, whether he gets to play football again or not. He's alive right now, and that's really all that matters. And so we'll continue the show kind of as normal, but obviously that's an event that just is a rare event in history, let alone the history of football. So it had to be talked about. But fantasy frenzy, obviously, given the Monday night implications, we had to do something a little different. I'll let you explain things a bit.
Yeah, so I was up by a lot, but not impossible to come back from. I believe it was 134-78, and you still had Josh Allen, Joe Mixon, and Evan McPherson. So we both came to the agreement that I would likely win. So I was credited with the win. And as for the points contest, we have decided to just make the score 15-0, based solely off of discussion. That was the points differential that we deemed would be most likely, and what we deemed would be fair to give myself to gain an edge, if that makes sense. So our total points did not move at all. I just got 15 more comparative from going into week 17. So that leaves me at 5-8, and you at 8-5, and I'm at 17-12 for total points, and you're at 17-60. So you do get the first pick as what am I saying? As you lost, technically.
Yeah. No, it's a good way to put it. And man, this is for those that aren't. This is gonna take me longer to pick. It's probably gonna take you longer to pick. Reason being, it's week 18. It's gonna be difficult. We got a lot of names that are gonna be. We haven't seen them all year on this show, because, well, quite frankly, some guys are getting rested. We don't know if they're gonna play a half. They're not gonna play at all. But given that, I do know the Bengals, the division is on the line. I believe with the Ravens. Yes. So I'm going to take Jamar Chase because I don't think he's going to get pulled, given that game has a lot of volume. And, well, he's just the best receiver on the board. And so, yeah, I just really hope this is not a Justin Jefferson-esque bust for me, because that was brutal last week.
Yeah, that's a fair take. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Travis Kelce.
Didn't we take him last week?
Did we?
Yeah, he took him right away. That was
Kelce. I just tweaked. You're right.
Trust me, I would have taken
him. Yeah. Well, I was confused why you didn't, but I was like, oh, maybe he thinks they're going to pull him or sit him. I want to double check this then, because I'm going to follow that up. I'm going to grab a receiver then, and I think this is very, very interesting conversation with what I'm going to do at receiver here, but. I'm going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown in a do-or-die game against the Packers, simply because I know he's going to play the whole day. This is very interesting, and I'm going, I don't have many notes prepared for this. I've been on the road. So I might be at a disadvantage. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, my first pick.
All right. No. Matching with receiver. I can respect
Oh, that
that.
was just an awful pick. I just,
No worries, man.
I
No
just,
worries.
I just.
I'm gonna take Derrick Henry.
Oh, okay.
He's playing the Jaguars. I'm expecting a field day. I understand the Titans have been kind of cold, but they're going to feed Derrick Henry. They're going to try and get into the playoffs. It's do or die for them in the AFC South, just like it is for, well, the 7th spot in the NFC North battle, Packers Lions. But who's next? Who you got?
I'm gonna grab Christian McCaffrey. I think they're gonna
Mm,
play their guys. I just
mm.
do. Maybe he doesn't sit to play the fourth quarter or something, but when a guy's, I mean, shoot, ESPN has him projected 24 points, so
Wow,
I
yeah.
think he's gonna play, and if he doesn't, well, I'll take the L. But he's too good not to draft.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Boy, I split, and I think, I think I'm gonna have to double up on running back here. Terrible outing last week, but I'm really hoping Dalvin Cook turns things around. The Vikings are playing for seeding. They do need every home field game they can get from what we've seen. So hopefully he has a similar day to Derrick Henry on Sunday.
That is fair. That is fair. Let me see. Double check he's available. And what did he do last week? Was he decent last week? He was.
Who?
All right. I'm gonna take Josh Jacobs.
Mm.
They're out, so he's gonna play. And he's been solid all year. He's gonna get the ball because they're starting Jared Stidham. So I'll take Josh Jacobs as my RB2.
Nice. This is where things get interesting. Nah, no. I could. I'll nab wide receiver 2 here, but I'm really unsure of my flex. CeeDee Lamb is kind of I feel like I pick him a lot, but it's quietly usually
He's
solid. I don't know, there's a
very
way he's
quietly
gonna.
having a top 5 season. Just want that to.
He doesn't put up like the monster stat lines, but I love his floor. So lock in CeeDee Lamb right there.
Yeah. Would I be an idiot to take Mike Evans? I mean, I'm just. I mean,
I don't know.
calling
He
up.
kind of just had a great week. It's not like Brady's MO to have a guy do that again, but I mean, if he
This
does
sounds
it
like you
again, you're
don't
gonna be
want me to
mad if you
take.
didn't pick him. I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know
you're
actually.
right. Wow. Sounds like you don't want me to take him. He's
I don't
playing
know, man.
Atlanta. They're in, right? The Bucks are they're in. They're division champions no matter what happens. So
Yeah.
I think I'll stay away because Brady is the type of dude to just rest everybody because he's Brady and he's the coach basically.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I'm going to flip it around and go back to running backs here. Sorry, I'm going off. Wait,
No worries,
actually,
man.
I took AJ Brown last week. Dang it. Yeah, I'm going to take a risk here, but I've got a good feeling about it. Travis Etienne Jr. Again, if they're going to win, I think he's going to get the ball. So, and they're in a do or die game. So, there's my logic there.
Okay. Yeah. It's sound logic. Boy. And what the heck? I got big names that bust. So if this guy busts, it's anyone can. You know what I mean? It's game of fantasy football, but this is definitely a risk at the flex spot. Cam Akers.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, it's clarifying, all right. He was like 2 weeks removed from that huge game against
I
the
started him in
Broncos.
a championship last week, so I guess I can.
Right? Like he's coming around and he just plays better at the end of the year. I believe it was like 2 years ago. He kind of helped that Rams, or was it even last year? Last year, the playoffs. Regardless, like it's his track record. In the beginning of the season, he gets all this hype, doesn't do anything, but he turns it on at the end. And I know the Rams don't have anything to play for, but they do have to play for contracts, really roster spots when you're running back. So Just hoping he has a big day, man.
That is fair. That is fair. I'm going really, really off the wall here for wide receiver two. I don't know if we've picked this guy all year,
Well,
but
if you didn't take Cam Akers.
he is eliminated from the playoffs, and I think he's developing a good connection with a quarterback that. Let me make sure he's playing. Oh, he's limited participation. I think he's going to play. I'm still going to take him just for the sake. If this burns me, I don't care because it's worth it. I'm going to take perhaps the quietest top 10 season of a fantasy receiver I've ever seen. And maybe I just look like an idiot for thinking that he's been quiet. I'm going to take Amari Cooper in a must-win
That is quiet.
in a spoil the Steelers making the playoffs game.
Wow. I think it's quiet because he'll go for like 26, 30 points. And like the next week he'll have 2. But then the following week he's very boom or bust. But
yeah.
No, it's very actually solid flex pick.
What we did okay, well, never mind. He's actually been he's getting better at the more that he plays with Watson. Like he had a clear drop in numbers and then he's starting to pick up again. If that makes sense.
Gotcha.
So.
No, I hear you. He's on the board, so I'm going to take him. Patrick Mahomes. That they do still have playoff seeding to play for. So yeah, there's that. That's quarterback on the board.
Solid. Remember that one time you picked? Let me make sure he's available. Yeah, remember that one time you picked T.J. Hawkinson and he scored like 35 on me. I'm hoping that happens again here as the Vikings are playing for seeding. So I'm going to take T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah, that's very valid, man. This could turn into the old 30-point swing. I'm going to take old Mark Andrews.
Oh, wow.
Thought I was going to take somebody else. I knew Evan Ingram was on the board.
That's what I thought you were going to take.
I knew there's Higbee's been better, but I'm going to go with Mark Andrews because that's a big game. And I just think he's going to have a big night, at least a touchdown. He just can't bust. Yeah. So kick it back to you.
All right. I'm going to take the Vikings defense. I know they're bad, but Justin Fields is not playing this week, and they're playing the Bears. So there's my thinking there. And so, take it with a grain of salt. But I know they're not that great a defense, but it's a really good matchup.
Yeah, the logic tracks with that. I'll go with the Cowboys. They play the Commanders, who I believe they don't even get to play spoiler at this point. The Cowboys are going to make the playoffs, and I think it might be Sam Howell starting, so they might just feast on a rookie. Regardless, Commanders don't have an intimidating offense. This should be a good defense pick. Yeah,
I'm going to take Justin Tucker. Your pick. No explanation.
That's the Mahomes of quarterbacks. I'll take Chris Boswell.
Nice.
A little head-to-head matchup.
I'm telling you right now, the Steelers, we're going to have to do some sort of like award show, and we're just going to the quietest, sneakiest playoff season ever. Goes to the Steelers. But we'll figure something out next week for our regular season finale. Quarterback, this is very, very interesting situation. Dyer is really projected 26 points. How is that even
if he plays?
How is that even possible?
I know it's Jalen Hurts, but I'm staying away.
How is that even possible? I will have to stay away. And I'm going to do something a little crazy here, all right? I thought about doing it last week. I'm glad I didn't. But when the big money's on the line, end of the season, need a win, I'm going to ride with number 12, baby. I'm taking A-Rod.
Nice, man. Even I love that pick. Mahomes-Rodgers duel. Yeah.
Gotta take him. Playing that sucky Detroit defense, man.
Man, if Matt Flynn can hang 500 yards and 6 touchdowns in a season finale in Lambeau against the Lions years ago, I think Rodgers can do the same.
I would hope so, man. I would hope so. So that finishes our Week 18 Fantasy Frenzy. And just so you guys know, we will continue doing it throughout the playoffs before we determine the overall winner. But with that being said, all players will be available each playoff week. So when we get to the Super Bowl, we'll be drafting from 2 teams to fill out an entire roster. So it'll keep the idea behind it of keeping things interesting will still be there, but the format will change a little bit. We are not going to, if we pick Josh Allen in the AFC Championship and he makes it to the Super Bowl, somebody will be able to use Josh Allen the next week. And that goes for the wild card rounds as well, because you're down to half as many players available. So we have to do it that way. But with that being said, let's jump in. Week 18 picks. To start off a Week 17 recap, we did wash the Monday night game. So in the past with ties, we've counted them as losses because I feel like with a tie, you picked a winner and that team did not win the game. That is not the case with a no contest. So that leaves me where we left things on Monday night when we recorded 13-2. You were 11-4, and Jake was 8-7. So a pretty good debut performance from our boy Jake. Hopefully he'll be back soon. We'll probably have him back in the playoffs for whenever the Vikings,
bounced.
Well, probably before that, but hopefully we're hoping for a rematch, but we'll see how it plays out. But as for the final, push here, like I was saying, I'm down by 3. I have 149 and one wins and 106 losses. You have 152 and 103. So I got to make up 3 games this week and before the Super Bowl. So we're running this one through the playoffs as well, which will get very, very dicey, especially if it comes down to the Super Bowl, because that would be pretty fun. So that being said, Chiefs-Raiders is the first game this week on Saturday. I am taking the Chiefs. I'm not hesitating. I'm not picking the Raiders with Jared Stidham to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So
nope, not at all. It might be closer than people want it to have, but yeah, Chiefs.
Now, the other Saturday game, or one of them, Jaguars-Titans, AFC South Division title. And I know you've got Derrick Henry on your fantasy team, on your fantasy frenzy team, so I'm interested to see where you go here.
Oh, man. Well, I'm torn at how this is going to go. But I feel like every time I take the Jags, they just don't play well. And I have this feeling, I just have this feeling that Titans, they're just going to win. I think Vrabel's just going to coach. It's going to be low scoring because it's a division game. I don't think that favors the Jags. But I would also not be shocked if it goes complete other way. I mean, the Jags have been hot. They've been the Titans haven't looked great, man. They lost to the Texans, and here I am picking them. But
I'm pretty confident in the Jaguars this week. I don't even know who's starting at quarterback for the Titans because I don't even think Lewis is healthy.
It's the risk I'm willing to take, man.
But
I'm really banking on Derrick Henry.
I feel like I have to take the Jaguars because I feel like I was on this, I built this boat of Jaguars playoffs in week 13 or something when it was not looking possible. And here we are on the final hurdle for me to will this team or for this to come true. And I have to stay loyal to that. So, and with that being said, I still think the Jaguars are going to win. Hot team, cold team. I'm picking the hot team, especially when I don't know who's their starting quarterback. So as great as Mike Vrabel and Derrick Henry are, got to take the Jaguars.
No doubt, man. Can't push back there.
Patriots, Bills. What are you thinking here in Buffalo?
I think Patriots are going to choke.
Really?
I'm going to choke. I think the Bills are just going to play with a lot of fire. I am.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just don't feel good picking against the Bills.
I'm torn, man, because it could go either way, right? The Bills could go win a Super Bowl because of what happened, or they could just not look like the same team at all. But if I had to guess, knowing Buffalo's history, losing Super Bowls is a part of that. So I think I got to ride with Buffalo here as well. I just don't see them not coming out and playing with 150% this week. And if it were any other week, I'd pick the Bills. So if they have more motivation to win, I'm taking Buffalo.
Hear you.
Yeah. Here's an interesting one. The Browns have a chance to spoil the Steelers in Pittsburgh. What are you thinking here? Because I'm kind of on the fence. I could see this going either way.
gonna be close. Division. They're all division games this week. So
I know. I love
they're all
it.
gonna be close.
It's so toxic.
Yeah, man. I just don't see something stopping Mike Tomlin from getting the winning record.
Yeah, I have to,
sense. Especially the Browns. Like if it was gonna be somebody, it would have been like the Ravens or the Bengals.
Kenny
It's not gonna
Pickett
be the Browns.
Quietly rookie of the year right now in my eyes, outside of Garrett Wilson. But
given the circumstances,
his numbers, I saw something. He's like the third by Pro Football Focus, like the third highest rated quarterback since like week 8 or whenever.
Wow.
He's been like one interception, and maybe I'm way off, but
he does not turn the ball over for a rookie quarterback. It's very impressive.
I think they found their guy, man. I got to be honest. He gives me just that Roethlisberger vibe, and they just got to build the defense around him, and then they'll have their success. I think he's
Steeler
good.
Way.
Yeah. I'm taking. With that being said, I got to take the Steelers, right? Hot team and the team that's out of the playoffs, and then the Mike Tomlin stuff. I was trying to bait you into taking the Browns, but it didn't work. So
can't do it.
I did take him last week, man. I did take him last week, and I do want to check something because I'm going to bet. I forgot about this number. Okay, so it doesn't matter because I picked against him. That 49er stat last week that I used to pick the Commanders loss. Teams are now 0-14 after playing the 49ers, but the Raiders.
Oh, wow.
I picked the Chiefs to play the Raiders. Chiefs over the Raiders last week. So here's another interesting one. Ravens in Cincinnati for what I believe, and I don't know how they're going to play this out, but for what I believe to be the division title. Cincinnati's 11-5, I believe. The Ravens are 10-6, so game back. It'll be interesting to see the win percentage. I guess the Bengals would be high. The Bengals, I don't know how it's going to work, but the Bengals would be higher. Excuse me. The Bengals would be higher if they have one less loss, but the head-to-heads, I don't remember. So regardless, I'm going to take the Ravens here because I'm taking a chance. Well, you know what? Before I do that, for sure, you can make your pick, but I might rescind that because I'm going to check Lamar because I don't think he's playing, and I'm not picking them if Lamar's not playing.
I actually am going to go with this. I've been saying this every week that I'm going to take the Ravens, regardless if Lamar's playing or not. But this is where I draw the line. Actually, the Bengals.
He's out.
Okay. Well,
I will be switching my pick to the Bengals. I'm sure. I thought he was returning when I took my notes. Yeah. So
love Tyler Huntley, but he's not keeping pace with Joe Burrow and the boys. That's just not going to go over well. I'm
interested to see how T. Higgins plays given the circumstances. So, very interesting. We're just interested to see the Bengals play. So, Vikings, Bears. Do we need to talk about this?
Nah.
Nah.
Unless you think Nate Peterman's gonna have a career day.
It's Nate Peterman. Man, that Vikings Vikings defense pick just got so much better. Oh my gosh.
3 points.
What a snipe.
3 points, man.
That's at least 3 interceptions right there. All right. Jets at Dolphins. I'm gonna go on a limb here. I'm gonna take the Dolphins. I really don't want to. But the Jets are this is like who's the tallest midget? Like they're really bad teams. But I think the Dolphins are at a point where they can still get in and the Jets are eliminated. And the Jets are just not the type of team in my eyes to play spoiler. They're just not. And the Dolphins are, I don't know if we'll see Tua again this year, but I think that they can win this game.
Yeah. You say you don't see him playing spoiler, but I think they do. It's stingy defense. I think it's gonna be Skylar Thompson again. I'm not sold that the Dolphins get this done. And
I hope they don't. Though, I'm not rooting for them to make the playoffs, but
they have been ice cold. So Jets, but I'm actually gonna think that trend continues. I think the Jets win. I think they. Just find a way. Mike White's going to be a bit more healthy. I think he's really playing for a job, at least a shot at a job next season.
That's true.
So I like the Jets in this one.
That's true. All right. Bucks at Falcons. What are you thinking here? This is such bait, man.
It
This
is
is
Bates, but
this
the
game.
Buccaneers should win, should handle the Falcons. Uh, they have not actually really looked too good as of late. Um, Not
So
really all
yeah,
Desmond Ritter's fault,
I
but
think we're on the same page. I think if Mariota was still playing, I would be really tempted to take the Falcons here, just because the Bucks. I don't think this game matters for them, but
mhm.
I don't think Desmond Ritter could beat the Bucks, anyways. Like you
Yeah,
know what I'm
I
saying?
think they'll
Like
kind of trip them up a bit.
um,
They'll find a way to win this.
the other NFC South matchup, Panthers in New Orleans. What are you thinking here? This is so dumb. There's so many of
Um,
these games don't matter
I'll
at
say
all.
both these quarterbacks are not going to be playing for their respective teams next year. Go with the Saints.
No, I'll go with the
I have
Panthers
no
then.
idea why. Yeah.
I'll go with the Panthers then. Make it interesting. All right, here's the ultimate game that doesn't matter. Super Bowl, the game I don't even know what to call it. This game does
Mm.
not matter at all. Texans at Colts, and I just want it to be known. I had been
Holy
thinking about
cow.
who I'm going to pick all week for this game, and I still don't know, man. I cannot make a case for either team to win this game. So, go ahead.
I'm going to ride with the Colts because I think the
Uh,
Texans know that the Bear, like, they can't win because the Bears are going to lose.
I
And the
have
Bears will
that,
get the number one pick then. I think they just got
but
to know
but
that.
but I have to agree, and I'm gonna take the Colts on that note. But it's like 51-49 in my head, because the other side of it is the Texans. You know, they don't. The Bears aren't going to take a quarterback if they get the number one pick. And so while the Texans are now losing this game intentionally based off the idea that the Bears might trade their pick to another team who wants a quarterback. And
Yeah.
while I think that's probably what would happen, uh, that's still hypothetical. So this is very like just weird. But I think Jeff Saturday is not going to play to lose this game, and
No.
because he doesn't have the job security that Lovie Smith does. And so I will go with the Colts here against my better judgment, because I actually think the Texans are a better team.
Interesting. Yeah, they've definitely been playing better as of late. So,
Yeah. All right.
uh,
Cardinals at 49ers. I'm taking 49ers, not really thinking twice about it. I will
I
not be
agree.
picking, I will not be picking the Cardinals, maybe even
No,
into next season.
that's a fair take. They're kind of on the no pick list. And even if Blau has another good day, doubt he will. It's against the 49ers. But yeah, 49ers all the way.
Yeah. Cowboys at Commanders. Commanders are eliminated, but I don't see them
Mhm.
rolling over. So this, if they're going to play spoiler, I don't think they are. I'm going to take the Cowboys here, but they're not going to lose on purpose. If that makes sense.
No, I agree. It'll probably be somewhat of a close game, but I'm just kind of taking this as like a Cowboys tune-up. I think
Do
they could
have to
really use a
agree.
good performance, and there's playoff seeding involved. There's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
nobody's got stuff locked up.
Rams at Seahawks. Who you got?
Seahawks, it's in Seattle. It'll be close, but I think the Seahawks are going to win. I don't know if that really does anything for Detroit's morale. Like I said, Dan Campbell's a maniac. He's going to make sure those guys come out playing. But yeah, I think if Packers lose, the Seahawks are in.
I have to agree. I'm taking the Seahawks mainly because I don't think I picked against the Seahawks at home all year, and I'm definitely not going to do it against Baker Mayfield and the Rams. So
Absolutely. Not the team that'll beat them in Seattle.
here's where things get a little bit interesting. Giants in Philadelphia. No Jalen Hurts. We don't know. We don't know. So what are you thinking here? Because the number one seed is not guaranteed. They still have not put it away.
Right. And from my knowledge, I don't think the Giants can move here. Like in the sense that I don't think their playoff seating changes. Like I believe they're
Yeah.
just locked in at 6, regardless of what happens.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take the Eagles, even if Minshew's playing. Just I don't think the Giants have anything to play for. I
Well,
believe Saquon probably gets some rest here.
I'm going to take the Giants based off. I agree with everything you had to say, but I'm going to take the Giants based off. I'm assuming Minshew plays. If Hurts plays,
Yeah.
I'm screwed. Um, but he hasn't practiced, and I'm taking the Giants based off division matchup. I think that's what they have to play for. It's the Eagles, and they hate the Eagles. There's nothing more to it.
That's fair.
you know,
I hear you.
Sunday Night Football, we don't really need to talk about this one. Chargers at Broncos. I have nothing to say about that. No. Unless you're planning on riding with the country, man. Are you riding with the country?
Absolutely not.
And we will talk. I want
competent.
I want it to be known. We will be doing off-season dives into the Broncos because I think they actually have a somewhat decent chance at salvaging this Russ trade if they hire the right coach. And if that's Sean Payton, man, we could be looking at something nice. So if you're in a dynasty fantasy league, Russ might not be a bad buy if you're in like a super flex or something. But all right, Sunday Night Football, Lions Packers. I think we know what we're doing here, man. I'm taking the Lions.
Yeah, for the greater good. And I got Green Bay.
Yeah,
I just hope they ball out, man. Last week was fun to watch. I'm looking forward to Sunday night.
Yeah, I do want to, I know he's listening. So, Jake, shout out Jake. We had a great text conversation about the Vikings game. I do want to let you know, Christian, he was not very pleased with your analysis. And he said, quote, "I was glad I wasn't there because I wouldn't have been able to control myself." So he was very upset after the game and very upset after listening to our podcast. So I think that
rightfully
our job
so, man.
as Packers fans. He rightfully called us both fair weather fans. And I said, "You're probably not wrong because we've been bashing on this team all year."
I've stuck with the Packers,
and you know what? I'll give it
have.
to you.
I'll knock them, but I never gave it.
I definitely am well, I wouldn't say I'm a fair weather fan because I've clearly always been a Packers fan throughout the year, but I definitely have had my.
No, you were disgusted at a certain
point. There's a better word. Faith. Like when I hear fair weather fan, I think of like somebody who
you don't know who's on the team.
Yeah, like somebody who doesn't root for the team until they're like playing for championships, right? Or like that's not. That's not what I would classify myself as. I would classify myself as a very negative and, negative Nancy fan, whatever, like always see the downside.
Yeah.
Pessimistic. There's the word. Pessimistic fan. But that's about it.
And listen, I didn't mean to cause any, feelings of disgruntlement, and
it's
that was not my intention. It is, but all I can say is
fair share.
Listen, I just think you can't be upset, you can't be mad if you have a realistic expectation, and this was a typical Vikings. Like that's was what they do, and so if his expectations were at the hat, would be that upset.
He also was not very happy in our analysis of Jair Alexander's performance and claimed that he had bracket coverage the entire game and that we should watch the tape. Which is a valid argument. I think
there was a lot of cover chart two looks. They wanted Jair to play aggressive because when he plays soft and off guys, he's just not good. This is not his MO.
Yeah, it's almost like we should be doing that all year, but nobody.
It is what it is. Glad Joe Barry finally figured it out in week 17.
Yeah. Hope he rolls with it. But all right, I think that leaves us with one last segment that we didn't run out of time for last week, but we got time for now. Who he played for, a classic staple at this point of
classic
our show. And I'll go first because I've got a good one. So let me pull up his football reference page on my phone right quick. And I'm going to tell you that he is an offensive player. And then I'm going to rip through the teams he played for and give you no years. He is a current player for the last team, I will say. So, this guy was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons, signed with the Cleveland Browns, and now plays for the Tennessee Titans.
Nice. Um, okay. So the hint is signed with Cleveland. Oh man, there's a trade in there.
He was never traded.
Offensive. It's Austin Hooper.
Unbelievable, man.
Yeah,
Unbelievable. Oh man, we've never done a tight
Summons.
end there, and I was like, oh, I feel like I can get a tight end by him. That would be pretty good. No, I can't.
Very, very, yeah.
Good pull
okay,
though. Good,
okay.
good pull. You know, I'll give you credit
Love
where
that.
credit's due because he's been pretty quiet in Tennessee this year.
Yeah, no, that might have been just a Madden thing because Austin Hooper, random name. Very, very good one. This is I love these. This is a classic journeyman.
Oh
He's with the
god.
Ravens. Ravens drafted in 2011. So he's
Well,
with the
offense
Ravens.
offense or defense?
Offense, sorry.
Oh god,
Offensive player for the
Ravens
Ravens.
offensive
Okay.
player. That's so helpful.
Well, yeah, he's got a career path, right? So
Great.
he was with the Ravens for 4 years, and then he was with Buffalo for 3 years, and then he was with the Browns for a year, and then he went to the Chargers for 2 seasons. Last season he was with the Texans, and now he's currently playing with the Giants.
What?
And I know when I say offensive player, that makes it difficult because outside of Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones,
Yeah.
Giants offensive players, my bad.
They're pretty
Chief,
young too. That's what's weird. Is it a lineman?
he is not a lineman.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
This is a shot in the dark. Did you say he played? How long has he been with the Giants?
Just this season.
So it
He
can't be
signed this year.
It can't be Matt Breida then, because I'm pretty sure he was there last year.
Yeah, that's a good shot in the dark.
Oh man, this is some guard. I don't know who their backup quarterback is. Dude, this is a good one. All right, I'm gonna have to.
You do.
That's not encouraging. That's not encouraging.
He was a Pro Bowler, man.
He was a Pro Bowler, and he's only drafted in 2011.
2015, he's a Pro Bowler.
What? On what team?
Buffalo Bills.
Okay, so before Josh Allen, that's where things go dark. But I do remember the Fitzpatrick days, the Peterman days. He's probably not a quarterback. Now that I'm thinking about
ticket days.
No, because that's the EJ Manuel days. Did they move on? He was not a Pro Bowler. They moved on that quick.
I can't believe it. Madden's Mutt Squads is my last hint.
Tyrod! Tyrod! No,
Tyrod Taylor.
Checks out too. You should have said he punctured his lung by a doctor.
It just popped in, and I was like,
he was a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, that year they made playoffs, man.
Shout out Tyrod Taylor.
Everyone forgets about that.
Madden legend, absolute Madden legend. NFL Blitz. Thanksgiving, Black Friday Blitz.
Yeah, he had 20 touchdowns to the air, 6 picks, and whatever rushing numbers.
He's the backup in New York. I had no chance of getting that. And then I had no chance. I did not know that. All right. Okay. Things are about to get a little. I would like to think a little more difficult for you here. All right, because I've made an executive decision to actively try and start using more defensive players, which are generally harder.
Nice.
So, with that being said, this is a defensive player. Originally drafted by the Arizona Cardinals, then spent time with the Houston Texans, the Kansas City Chiefs, and now plays for the New Orleans Saints.
Tyrann Mathieu.
It's all ridiculous. It's all ridiculous trying to scale how hard to go with defensive players. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Yeah. I do want it to be known too that and no offense to Jake, but he's just not a human encyclopedia. So I did have these guys prepped for him as well. Because obviously when we have Luke on the show for NBA Tuesday, I like to just cater to him and make you suffer through being an encyclopedia. So it's I guess I could have done a little more difficult, but we'll see. We'll see about this last guy. I'm feeling decent.
Feeling confident, huh?
About my
So
last
I got one more guy. He is younger, so that just make things hopefully a bit easier. He was drafted by the Bills in 2017. He was with them.
Is this offense or defense?
Offense, sorry.
Okay.
He was with them till 2019, where he then got traded to the Raiders. He spent the rest of his career there until last season or this season. He's with the Jaguars currently.
Bills, Raiders, Jaguars,
Jags. Yep.
And he was on the Raiders last year.
2.5 seasons with both the Bills and Raiders because he got traded to the Raiders. And now
I don't remember the Bills and Raiders ever trading. Man.
Not a lineman either. I'll just rule that out. Or quarterback.
Current Jaguars offensive players. Can't be a quarterback. Well, it's not a starting quarterback or a running back. It's not Christian Kirk. Zay Jones. I never heard of him before this year. So if it is him, that's my fault. Did you say no? He never played in Detroit, so it can't be Marvin Jones. Man, I guess I'm gonna say Zay Jones on the fact that I didn't know who he was before this year, but Zay Jones.
It's a good guess. And it was actually correct.
What?
It was Zay Jones.
Oh, what a shot in the dark. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I believe it was traded for a late one of those like Robbie Anderson trades where like, if you follow the team, you might have caught it back in 2019.
Yeah.
And it's not like he exactly lit the world on fire when he was with the Raiders, but yeah, he's having actually his best season with
clearly
best season with the Jags. So
I honestly thought he was a rookie.
Good one, man.
So there's that.
Yeah.
All right. I can hear the ice cream truck outside, but all right. This guy is a defensive player, originally drafted by the Houston Texans. He then spent time with the Seattle Seahawks, the Tennessee Titans, and currently plays for the Cleveland. Dude, shut up. Stop. I didn't even know. I honestly, when I looked up his name, I was like, oh, yeah, I knew he was in Cleveland. I didn't know he was with Seattle or Tennessee. That's so garbage, man. That's so garbage.
Seattle overpaid. Somebody either overpaid or traded first. I don't remember if it was Titans, Seahawks.
I don't think they overpaid. I mean, I think he's just
somebody goofed.
I think he's actually at this point underrated, in my opinion.
Probably
had like a very solid like rushing career or defensive rusher career, and people just like think he was a bust, and he definitely was not.
No, yeah, he's no Myles Garrett, but he's also a very good pass rusher. So. Yeah.
All right, that
stuff, man.
That concludes our show. Thanks everyone for listening. I try, guys, I really do. So send in suggestions for what you got. But yeah, that was pitiful today, absolutely pitiful. So I'm down 3 going into the next week for picks, and I'm down 3 games. Got to make them up throughout the playoffs for Fantasy Frenzy. So thanks again for listening, guys. Be sure to check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And we'll be back. Most likely Sunday for a recap of Week 18 and our definitely playoff outlook going into the wild card weekend. We're finally here. So we'll either be really happy or really sad after Sunday Night Football. So, Yeah. Peace out, guys, and we'll catch you next time.
Take care.